It's pretty wild just last year, right? 2 Nobel Prizes.
Yeah, for research that's fundamentally tied up with AI. Amazing.
Okay, let's unpack this because today we're doing a real deep dive into, well, where AI actually stands right now and our main source, the brand new AI Index Report 2025.
Exactly. And this isn't just skimming the headlines.
Yeah.
The AI Index Report really gets into the nuts and bolts. It looks at everything from, the latest research breakthroughs, technical performance,
Right.
to the economic impacts, even how AI is being taught. It's really comprehensive.
Absolutely. And let's face it, trying to keep up with AI news, it feels overwhelming sometimes.
Definitely.
So think of this deep dive as, well, your shortcut. We've waded through this massive report to pull out the most crucial stuff, the most fascinating insights for you. So whether you're prepping for a meeting, just trying to grasp the bigger picture, or, you're just fascinated by where this is all going, we've got you covered. Our mission, basically, is to grab those key nuggets and give you a clear picture of what really matters in AI today.
And you'll see just how far AI reaches now.
Right.
I mean, it's influencing science, education, even public opinion. It's everywhere.
Okay, let's do it. Where should we start? Research and development. The engine room.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Let's kick things off there.
Okay. Now, the report mentions a methodology change, right? Moving to this open catalog called OpenAlex for tracking research.
Yeah, that's right.
What's the significance there for, understanding the landscape?
Well, it's interesting because OpenAlex is it's a more comprehensive open database.
Okay.
So unlike some previous sources that might have leaned more heavily on, say, traditional computer science journals, OpenAlex casts a much wider net. It includes preprints, research from all sorts of fields where AI is being applied, maybe not always labeled computer science.
Oh, okay. So it reminds us AI isn't just happening in CS departments anymore.
Exactly. It's becoming embedded everywhere, which, might slightly change our perception of the overall research output volume compared to previous year's indexing.
That makes sense. So who's leading the charge in publishing the really influential stuff, the highly cited papers?
Well, if you look at the top 100 most cited papers, between 2021 and 2023, Google has been a huge player consistently.
Right.
But what's really notable, in 2023, Google actually tied with Tsinghua University from China.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, both contributed 8 publications to that top 100 list.
Interesting.
And if you look just at U.S. universities, Carnegie Mellon came out on top in 2023.
So what does that signal? A shift in maybe U.S. dominance in some areas?
It could be. I mean, it certainly points to the field becoming much more global. A genuine challenge, perhaps.
Definitely a more global game. What about protecting these innovations? Patents.
The report suggests North America is still filing a very significant chunk of the AI-related patents. The specific numbers for 23 aren't broken down quite the same way.
Right.
But the trend leading up to it, North America is a key hub for AI IP.
Got it. Okay, so that's the research activity. Let's talk about the models themselves, the AI brains. They're getting bigger, more capable. What are the key trends there?
The scale is just staggering, the amount of data they're trained on.
Right.
Think about GPT-3, the one behind the original ChatGPT. That used around, 374 billion tokens, roughly words or parts of words.
Okay.
Fast forward to Meta's Llama 3 from last year, 15 trillion tokens.
15 trillion.
Yeah. The report basically says the training data set size for these big language models is doubling roughly every 8 months.
Wow. That's exponential.
It really is. It suggests, another capability leap might be coming soon. But it also raises big questions about sustainability, data quality.
And all that data needs massive computing power, I assume.
Absolutely. That's the compute the report talks about, the sheer processing power and time needed. Training the top models, like Llama 3.1405B or Google's Gemini 1.0 Ultra, it can take months, huge infrastructure.
Right.
And this massive data appetite naturally leads to more compute demand, which brings up that whole data bottleneck discussion.
Yeah, the worry that we'll just run out of good data.
Exactly. But what's fascinating is recent research suggests the current stock of internet data might actually last longer than we thought.
Oh, interesting.
And then there's synthetic data, AI-generated data.
Right. Can that fill the gap?
Well, the report suggests it's not quite a perfect substitute for real-world data. It can miss nuances.
Okay.
But it shows real promise when you layer it on top of real data. Apparently, that avoids the whole model collapse problem where the AI trains on its own errors and gets worse.
So synthetic data as a booster, not a replacement.
Pretty much. augmenting and enhancing rather than substituting completely.
Got it. And none of this works without the hardware underneath, right? The chips.
Definitely not. Hardware, especially GPUs, graphics processing units, are critical.
NVIDIA territory.
NVIDIA is a key player, yeah. And we're seeing big jumps in price performance and energy efficiency for machine learning hardware.
That's good news.
For example, the report mentions NVIDIA's B100 chip from last year. It's over 33 times more energy efficient than their P100 GPU from back in 2016.
33 times. That's huge for sustainability.
It's essential progress, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with the energy demands of these giant models.
One more thing on R&D open source. Is that trend continuing?
Oh yeah, big time. The report shows a growing number of GitHub stars for AI projects.
Stars meaning like popularity, bookmarks?
Kind of, yeah. It shows developer interest and appreciation. A high star count usually means a lively open source community.
And who's contributing most?
US, Europe, China, India. They're all major contributors. This open collaboration really can, accelerate innovation, make AI more accessible.
Okay, so R&D is humming along. Let's switch gears. How are these systems actually performing? How do we even measure that?
Benchmarks, standardized tests for AI.
Right.
And the report really stresses the rapid progress on new, tougher benchmarks. Things like MMMU.
What's that?
Massive multidiscipline knowledge.
Okay.
Then there's GPQA for question answering, SWE bench for coding tasks.
Okay.
AI is making big leaps on these newer tests, especially in understanding stuff from different data types, text, images, audio, and encoding.
That sounds promising, but are they matching human performance yet across the board?
That's the key question. While AI is acing some new benchmarks, the report also points to even harder ones emerging.
I get it.
Things called Humanities Last Exam, Frontier Math, Big Code Bench. On these, AI still lags way behind humans, especially on tasks needing deep, complex reasoning, problem solving.
So progress is fast, but general intelligence matching humans still a way off.
Exactly. We're not there yet,
Yeah.
especially for those really high-level cognitive abilities.
Gotcha. The report mentioned some big model releases in 2024, too. Any standouts?
Absolutely. OpenAI's GPT-4o got a lot of attention.
Right. The O for Omni.
Yeah, impressive across text, audio, images, video, even real-time audio conversations matching human speed.
Wow.
Alibaba's Quintu models were noted too, rivaling top players.
Right.
And OpenAI's newest one, currently called O3 in beta, apparently outperforming older models on tough benchmarks.
So the cutting edge keeps advancing.
Definitely.
Now, this debate, open weight versus closed weight models. Can you break that down? What are the arguments?
Sure. So open weight means the model's code and parameters are public.
Okay.
Proponents say this democratizes AI research, spurs innovation because more people can build on it, improves security through community scrutiny, makes things more transparent.
Like Meta's Llama models, people build off those.
Exactly. They've been used as a base for lots of specialized models.
But the downside?
Critics worry a lot about security, misuse, disinformation, harmful applications, that kind of thing.
Right.
They argue for keeping the models closed with tight developer control.
So it's a real tension between openness and control. Innovation versus risk.
Pretty much, yeah. A fundamental trade-off.
Interestingly, the report also mentions smaller models doing surprisingly well.
Yes, that's a really interesting trend. While everyone's focused on scaling up, we're seeing smaller models, like Microsoft's Phi 3 Mini, getting really good scores on benchmarks like MMLU, sometimes better than much bigger models.
How does that work?
It suggests efficiency matters too. Clever architecture design, not just brute force size.
Which could make powerful AI more accessible, needing less compute.
Potentially, yeah. That's the hope.
And the overall competitive landscape, is it still just a couple of giants?
It seems to be converging more at the top. More providers are offering really capable models now.
So not just OpenAI and Google anymore.
No, you've got strong players like Mistral AI, Meta, Anthropic, others too. More competition.
Which is probably good for innovation and choice.
Likely, yes.
Okay, with AI moving so fast, how do we make sure the benchmarks, the tests keep up?
That's a big challenge. But the report mentions some cool developments like automated benchmark creation.
Using AI to test AI.
Basically, yeah. Tools like Bench Builder and Arena Hard Auto use language models to generate new hard test questions or prompts automatically.
Clever. Keeps things challenging without massive human effort.
Right. More dynamic evaluation.
The report also brought up R retrieval augmented generation. What's that about?
RB. It's basically a way to connect large language models to external, up-to-date information sources.
So they aren't just stuck with the data they were trained on.
Exactly. They can pull in relevant info from documents, databases, the web, then generate a response based on that current info.
Makes sense for things like company knowledge bases or customer support.
Precisely. Super important for accuracy and relevance. And new benchmarks are popping up just to test how well these RE systems actually retrieve and use information.
Okay, grounding AI in current facts. Good. Let's dig into specific skills. Language understanding. How's that progressing?
Significant progress there. Especially things like function calling.
Function calling.
Letting the AI interact with external tools like booking software or APIs. The Berkeley Function Calling Leaderboard shows big accuracy jumps.
Okay.
And embedding models are getting better too. Those are key for semantic search finding stuff by meaning, not just keywords.
Right, understanding context.
Yeah. Benchmarks like MTB show progress, with models like Voyage 3 Mate XP doing really well.
What about visuals, images, and video?
Big milestone. AI hit human-level performance on the VCR benchmark, Visual Common Sense Reasoning.
Wow. Understanding context and images.
Essentially, yeah. And video's getting complex, too.
Yeah.
New benchmarks like MV Bench Test, understanding events over time, not just single frames.
And generating visuals, text to image, text to video.
Improving incredibly fast.
Yeah.
Models like Gemini 2.0 for images, and then Movie Gen VO2 Sora for video. The realism and sophistication are just, well, accelerating.
That video generation stuff is mind-blowing sometimes. How about coding? Can AI write good code yet?
It's getting much better. The report highlights top models on coding benchmarks like Big Code Bench, Gemini XP 1206-01. Interestingly, some Chinese models, like DeepSeek V3, are also performing really strongly in coding. So a diverse set of top performers there.
Good to see competition. What about really hard logic, like math?
Impressive steps there, too. Alpha geometry, too.
From DeepMind?
Yeah. A neurosymbolic system combines neural nets and logical reasoning. It solved an international mathematical Olympiad geometry problem in seconds.
Seriously, an IMO problem.
Yeah. Now, how it does on broader math theorem proving is still being explored, but it's a significant advance in mathematical reasoning for AI.
Okay. And what about, like, general reasoning? Adapting to new problems?
That's where the ARC-AGI benchmark comes in. It tests generalization, solving novel problems. Always been tough. But the report shows huge progress. OpenAI's O3 model got a score of 75.7%, even higher with more compute.
That sounds like a big leap towards more general intelligence.
It definitely suggests big steps in that direction, more flexible problem solving beyond just specific trained tasks.
Yeah. One more area, AI agents. Autonomous systems doing tasks.
Yeah, agentic AI. Lots of excitement there. Scheduling meetings, doing research, tons of potential applications.
But how do you test them?
That's the tricky part. Evaluating them is complex because the tasks and environments are so varied.
Right.
There are benchmarks like Agent Bench, ML Agent Bench, but there's no real consensus yet on the best way to measure agent capabilities. It's still pretty early days.
Comparing apples and entire fruit salads, maybe?
Something like that.
Okay, huge potential, but evaluation is tricky. Let's shift to the economy. Any big AI-related business news in 2024?
Yeah, a few key events highlighted. Microsoft hiring a lot of the Inflection AI team and licensing their models was a big one.
Right, that made headlines.
Also saw huge funding rounds for CoreWeave, that's AI cloud infrastructure, and Scale AI, the data labeling company, shows investment is still pouring in.
Big money still flowing. Where's it going mostly?
Top areas in 2024 seem to be multimodal models, tools around Microsoft Copilot, and just large language modeling generally.
And geographically, still U.S.-centric.
Yeah, the U.S. continues to lead significantly in the number of newly funded AI companies, consistently outpacing Europe and China over the last decade, according to the report.
Okay, so U.S. dominance continues there. How are companies actually using AI day to day?
Growing adoption globally, across lots of functions, software engineering, IT, marketing, sales.
So it's moving out of the lab.
Seems so. A good chunk of companies surveyed said they're using generative AI for various tasks. Practical business applications are definitely increasing.
What about the big question? Productivity. Is AI actually making workers more productive?
This is really interesting. The report confirms findings from earlier years. Yes, AI boosts productivity.
Okay.
Several studies showed significant productivity jumps after companies brought in AI tools, and often it helped narrow the gap between lower and higher skilled workers.
Oh, that's significant, leveling the playing field a bit.
Potentially, yeah. What's also key is how companies integrate AI. The study suggests bigger gains come with more comprehensive strategic integration, not just tacking it on.
Right. You have to really weave it into the workflows.
Exactly. Deeper integration seems to correlate with bigger benefits.
Got it. Last economic point. Industrial robots. Still growing.
Yep. Installations are increasing globally. Automation in manufacturing continues its steady march.
Okay. So, big economic impact, growing adoption. Let's pivot to science and medicine. Huge potential there. Key milestones in 2024.
Oh, 2024 was massive for AI in science and medicine.
Yeah.
We saw a definite jump in FDA-approved AI medical devices, more confidence in using them clinically.
Good sign.
The promise of synthetic data for medical uses like training AI without compromising patient privacy is still looking strong. And we saw these large-scale medical foundation models emerge, trained on vast medical data for lots of tasks.
Like a GPT for medicine.
Sort of, yeah, tailored for healthcare. And of course, the 2 Nobel Prizes.
Right, chemistry for AlphaFold.
And physics for foundational work on neural networks, the basis for so much modern AI. Huge validation.
Really underscores the impact. Let's talk more about AlphaFold. What's new there?
It keeps getting better. AlphaFold 3 came out.
Okay.
It doesn't just predict protein structures anymore. It models how proteins interact with other molecules, like potential drugs.
Wow. So drug discovery.
Huge potential for speeding that up, yeah. And the public protein databases, including AlphaFold's own, have grown massively. Making data accessible is key.
Absolutely. Open data fuels research. What about clinical care? Medical imaging first.
Well, the report points out something interesting. The U.S. datasets used for training AI imaging algorithms, they mostly come from just a few states.
So potential bias might not work as well elsewhere.
That's the concern, yeah. Generalizability, plus there's a shortage of public 3D medical imaging datasets.
Challenges remain.
Definitely. But we are seeing foundation models being developed specifically for medical imaging, which is promising.
Okay. And beyond images, other clinical applications.
Natural language processing, NLP, is big. Used for improving medical knowledge bases, helping with diagnosis. Studies show models like GPT-4 can help doctors with patient care tasks. And these ambient AI scribes are catching on.
The ones that listen to appointments and write notes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Potentially freeing up a lot of doctor time from admin work.
That would be huge.
Plus, AI is being used to dig into electronic health records to find things like social determinants of health, socioeconomic factors, living conditions.
That affect patient outcomes.
Right. Understanding those can lead to better, more personalized care.
Very cool. And AI in other sciences beyond biomed.
Yep. Foundation models are popping up elsewhere, too. Aurora for earth science, advanced environmental forecasting. FISBERT for physics, outperforming general models on physics tasks.
So AI as a tool across the scientific spectrum.
It's looking that way. A versatile, powerful tool.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift to policy governance. What happened globally in 2024?
A lot of activity. The EU AI Act was formally adopted, landmark regulation.
Big deal in Europe.
Yeah. The UN General Assembly adopted a resolution pushed by the U.S. promoting safe, secure, and trustworthy AI. The U.K. and South Korea held another AI safety summit in Seoul, continuing the international dialogue.
Right.
In the U.S., a judge temporarily blocked a California AI law, and Saudi Arabia launched a big AI initiative, Project Transcendence.
So lots happening, different approaches globally. What about laws within countries like the U.S.?
The report highlights this trend. State-level AI laws in the U.S. are multiplying much faster than federal action.
States are moving quicker.
Seems so. The number of state laws more than doubled last year. Things like the Colorado AI Act, California's social media law. Other countries like Latvia, Russia are also legislating.
So a patchwork quilt of regulation emerging maybe, especially in the U.S.
Could be, yeah. States stepping in where federal action is slower.
And public investment. How are government spending on AI?
It's hard to compare directly data limitations. But the report contrasts the U.S. and Europe.
Okay.
In the U.S., government funding comes via grants, contracts. The Department of Defense is a major funder. In Europe, public AI investment in 23 focused more on public services, education, health, much less on defense compared to the U.S.
Interesting. Different priorities reflected in the spending.
Seems that way, yeah. Different societal goals may be shaping investment.
Okay. Let's move to education. How's AI affecting K-12? Computer science ed.
It's expanding globally, CS Ed and K-12. Most countries offer it or plan to.
That's good.
But big challenges remain. Equity of access is still an issue, And teacher readiness for AI concepts, that's a major gap.
Teachers don't feel prepared.
In the U.S., yeah. Most think AI should be taught, but less than half feel ready to teach it. Plus, disparities persist based on income, location, race.
So expansion is happening, but quality access and teacher training are lagging.
Seems to be the case. Key hurdles remain.
What about higher ed? College level.
U.S. computing bachelor's degrees are up over the decade. Growing interest.
But representation issues.
Still there, yeah. Ongoing disparities for different racial and ethnic groups in computing programs.
And globally.
Looking at OECD data, it varies a lot by country. Numbers of ICT grads at different levels, short cycle, master's, PhD, differ quite a bit. Diverse landscape globally.
So work needed on access and equity at all levels. Okay, last big area. Public opinion. What's the vibe out there about AI?
Overall, global optimism seems to be slightly increasing, especially in countries that were more skeptical before.
Interesting, but perceptions vary.
Oh yeah, hugely. Views on benefits versus drawbacks differ a lot. More positive generally in Asia, Latin America, more skeptical in Europe, the Anglosphere.
And concerns. Still there.
Yep, a slight rise in concerns noted, especially around personal data protection and potential discrimination.
Understandable worries.
But interestingly, among local U.S. policymakers, broad support for AI regulation. Seems like there's a desire for oversight at the community level.
So a mix. Growing optimism, lingering concerns, and a feeling that some rules are needed.
That sums it up pretty well. A complex picture.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground from the AI Index Report 2025. Stepping back, what are maybe one or two huge takeaways for listeners trying to process all this?
I think two things really jump out. First, just the incredible speed of progress. AI capabilities are advancing so fast, especially in understanding different info types and complex reasoning.
Right, the velocity is amazing.
But second, while that progress is exciting, the challenges around responsible AI, ethical development, making sure benefits are shared, those are becoming even more critical.
So, powerful tools emerging, but we need to be thoughtful about how we use them.
Exactly. The societal and ethical side is absolutely essential. Proactive consideration is key.
Couldn't agree more. It's definitely a time for both innovation and careful reflection. Okay, as we wrap up, what's one final thought or question you'd leave our listeners mulling over?
Maybe this. As AI gets woven deeper into everything we do, how do we actively ensure it actually enhances human flourishing?
Yeah.
How do we make sure it builds a future that's more equitable, more prosperous for everyone?
The tech is just a tool, right? It's our choices about how we build it and use it that will really define its legacy.
That's a powerful question to end on. It really focuses on our collective responsibility in shaping this future. Thank you so much for walking us through this incredibly dense report. That was fantastic.
My pleasure. It's a fascinating time.
And thank you, our listener, for joining us on this deep dive into the AI Index Report 2025. We hope this gave you a clearer picture and maybe sparked some new questions as this technology keeps racing forward.